ban. Am I right? Am I right?
Well,
Huh?
I don't.
If I was on The Voice, would you vote for me?
Would I vote for you?
Come
on
on.
the,
Would you spin your chair for me? You've never seen The Voice, have you? You have no idea what I'm talking about.
I don't know what the voice is. I'm guessing from context it's some sort of music, so like
It's
American Idol-ish.
Yeah, ish. You strike me as Simon from American Idol. Would you be a harsh critic
I don't know.
on my singing?
I don't feel like it's really my business to be just being critical of people's talent. That's like a weird thing to. That's a weird thing to be critical of.
That's his calling card. That's
I know
his
it's a little.
thing.
I know it's a little bit different because they're trying to get a job as a singer or whatever, but it just doesn't. Like, what's the point of being a critic of other people's talents?
Pays pretty well, probably.
It does pay pretty well.
Got to pay the bills somehow. Wayward servant, by the way. Here
We should have a show where we judge Simon's ability to judge other people. That I would watch. Like, that critique was stupid.
Yes.
Or mean-spirited for no reason.
Yep.
You lose.
You're out.
You lose 5 points or whatever whatever it is we're playing for.
Whatever objective scoring system we have.
Right, yeah. That show I would watch. But just watching people sing and then or listening to people sing, I guess, then hearing people talk about their opinions of their singing, I could not imagine something I would care about less.
Here comes Thalia.
Thalia might be a player in this matchup just by being 3 power and having first strike.
We're going to remove an energy. That's going to be really hard to push.
Incorrect.
Really tough. Can't do that. Cost 3 mana. Now, I mean, it's a legal spell, so he can't really cast it, so they should just unwind. He shouldn't have to use the energy, is I think what should happen here.
He can't legally target, right?
Yeah, what he wanted to target. So I don't think that he loses the energy.
No, I think Revolt looks on resolution, right? So he can target.
That's awkward. Boy, that's awkward. Okay, well, Dark Salvation. That.
Losing the Fatal Push when Heart of Kirin is about to moat you is pretty painful.
Is that tough? Is that tough? He's going to get a zombie. 2 triggers. It's just a tough road to hoe.
Yeah, that's not great.
Yeah.
Not a great look, but you know what? There's next turn.
That is a way to look at it. That is a way to look at it. All right, pass the turn back. See what Jessup is able to do this turn.
And you may wonder, what's the difference between someone judging someone on The Voice and me here in the booth being critical of plays like Fatal Pushing your Thalia without Revolt? What's the difference there?
What's the difference? Okay, explain it.
While I am critiquing these plays,
okay,
I don't actually determine who wins based on my critiques. We don't have them play 3 games and then I judge who played better and that person gets to win.
That's the winner. Sure.
Just like whatever happens, happens.
Sure.
That's very different.
You make an excellent point.
That was not a great play.
I agree.
Fatal Pushing and not killing something.
I think Zach would agree.
But Zach can still win. And it doesn't matter if I judged Andrew to have played better. That doesn't matter.
Fatal Push is going to kill the Wayward Servant.
Yep. Targeted something he could legally target, which I like.
Yep. That's a point. One of those objective points for Andrew.
Andrew moves on to the bonus round. Yeah. Successfully Fatal Pushing a opposing creature.
Here come the beatdowns from Zach. He's got some 3 power zombies. And Heart of Kirin cannot be turned on. Gonna crack a clue, Will Jessup. Get some information, decide if he wants to do any blocking or not with this Draven Inspector, which is certainly outclassed in the battlefield.
Heart of Kirin, by the way, super powerful card, defining tier 1 standard, blah, 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 blah.
Yes, of course.
Not always at its best in aggressive mirror matches.
Very true.
The mixture of removal, pinning down your ability to crew, and also just waiting until you can kill the heart itself, it's not always a star. And this is a matchup where it's likely to be an underperformer, especially because Zach's removal spells are very well suited with Grasp of Darkness and Fatal Push.
2 mana. Is it perhaps a Scrap Heap Scrounger? No, he'll cycle. That's ugh. Jessup's hand must stank. See what comes next here for Andrew, because he's in. Looks like he's in some trouble. More importantly, the card that I think actually causes the most trouble is the Lord, because Menace in this matchup is pretty good.
Yes. Menace also a pretty potent keyword against Heart of Kirin because you're down the blocker to crew.
Mm-hmm. Scrap Peep, scrounge of the draw. Continue.
Mm-hmm. So you just need a lot on the table to be able to block effectively.
Dark Salvation.
Hoodle Helly.
We're doing this again, huh? Take a look at Dark Salvation really quick. Former playmat here on the SCG Tour. Target player puts X 2/2 black zombie creature tokens on the battlefield. Then up to one target creature gets -1/-1 till end of turn for each zombie that you control.
So to me, not this, and excuse me, not the Lord, not Relentless. That this is the star payout for playing a zombie deck.
Yes, for sure.
If you are really a full-blown zombie deck, this card is awesome. Easily the best removal spell you have access to.
Trigger, take one. Thanks. Now, License Disintegration will take care of the Lord, but a healthy amount of damage is still going to come across here. And Jessup is still in some trouble.
And Zac still with 3 spells in hand, been missing land drops.
Land, pass. Checking to see if there's any creature lands out there. Not really. Not the fear here is Avacyn, I believe.
But even then, I mean, he's at 3, and you have 3 attackers.
Then there's not much of a fear.
2
of
are
Avacyn.
lethal.
Dead. Zac Caudillo up a game over Andrew Jessup. Black-white zombie up a game here over Mardu Vehicles. Easy breezy.
Easy.
Look at this. Maybe we got a new deck here in Standard, folks. A little zombie strategy going to take down Mardu Vehicles. We'll start with Jessup first and what his options are. He's got 2 Nahiri the Harbinger, 2 Oath of Liliana, 2 Release of Gremlins, 2 Sorin Grim Nemesis, 2 Transgress the Mind, and here come his one-ofs, an Anguish Unmaking, Cut Ribbons, Fumigate, Magma Spray, and Very Painful Truths.
So this makes me nervous here for Jessup. There isn't a whole lot in the sideboard for this kind of matchup. I think the 1 Magma Spray is easy to bring in and probably Cut to Ribbons, Anguish Unmaking, and Fumigate. Any removal, particularly that Exiles, I think is really good here. But I imagine Caudillo's deck is just a little too fast to go to the Planeswalker route. I think trying to get something done with Oath of Liliana is tough against a deck with so many tokens and creatures that come back from the graveyard. And so the removal spells, I think, are good here, but I don't know if he can add very much beyond that.
For Zac, we saw his sideboard last round. We look at it again here. 4 Gideon Allies end a card, 2 Blinding Mummy, 2 Collective Brutality, 2 Transgress the Mind of his own, along with an Anguish Unmaking, a Dark Salvation, a Never to Return, and 2 Plains if he wants to move up to 22 lands.
I would, if I was in Zac's position, I would not bring in Gideon, especially on the draw here. Although, as I mentioned before, it wouldn't surprise me if Zac just kind of reflexively brought in the 4 Gideons for every post-board matchup, assuming that'll be slower. I would just want the removal and the Blinding Mummies, the Never to Return, the Dark Salvation, the Anguish Unmaking, and the 2 copies of Blinding Mummy. I wouldn't move past that.
Well, those are the options there for both players. They will sideboard shuffle up, and Andrew Jessup will be on the play with Mardu Vehicles here for game number 2. In the meantime, we are talking SCG Newsletter, your source for Magic the Gathering news, where you can read more from Ross Merriam and a whole bunch more.
You know, the weekly newsletter comes with a lot of information, including highlights from some of the best articles found on Star City Games, upcoming SCG Tour dates and locations. You can find the StarCityGames.com invitational qualifier or game night closest to you, exclusive cardboard crack comic, and best of all, signing up is free over at go.starcitygames.com/newsletter. Game
number 2 here between Jessup and Caudillo here in a second. Now for Jessup, he's playing the most played deck here in day number 2, maybe the most played deck in the tournament, Mardu Vehicles. Simple stuff. We know it's good. Most people have the cards for it and didn't really lose anything, so might as well just play it.
And no maybes about it. Most popular deck in day number 2, 28 total copies. Green-Black Delirium, the second most popular deck, half as many copies at 14. If you want to lump Blue-Red Control and Jeskai together, that gets you to 13. Our 3 most prevalent decks.
And you want to talk about a deck that's not very prevalent? It's Zac's Black-White Zombies. He's the only one in day 2 with this strategy. So on one side, you've got the most played strategy. On the other, you've got the least played strategy. And right now, the least played strategy is on top and looking to move on to 11-2. I see Caleb Shear. He's picking up his stuff pretty quickly here. If he's moving that quick, and we see the clock there, about 40 minutes, I think maybe Caleb picked up another W.
Or just got sweltering suns into the Stone Age.
That also could have happened. We'll find out soon enough.
We will. Although his opponent does not look like someone who just won a match. Based on the sigh.
You got a little bit of a read on the situation.
Sideboarding. Yeah. But we will find out soon enough. But you know what? New deck. Faster top 8. I support Caleb's run.
Faster top 8. It's great.
Someone's got to go.
See if we can get to that Clippers Jazz game.
Oh, yeah.
See if we can make that for you tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Crypt Breaker is where Zach is going to start. The Toolcraft Exemplar is where Andrew started things. Both players are the Concealed Courtyard. Spire of Industry here for Andrew, and now a Heart of Karen. This is we call this the good start.
This is the draw.
Yeah.
But Caudillo's deck has a lot of answers to that opening.
So Zach will go. Another copy of Crypt Breaker has been drawn. He'll play another copy of Concealed Courtyard for now.
See, if I was a judge, Zach would have lost game 1. But I'm just more of a fly on the wall describing what's happening.
Ah, gotcha. You're just saying the events that are in front of us.
Yeah. I'm just reporting the news.
Another Crypt Breaker. Crypt Breaker flooded.
Yes. Though not the worst card to be flooded on.
You get to draw a card now. Tap 3 untap zombies you control, you draw a card and you lose a life.
Sweet.
It's going to probably take a beat in this turn.
It depends. I mean, Jessup needs to follow up with a 3-power creature this turn to really apply the pressure. It's also not off the table that if he wanted to, Zach could double block the Toolcraft Exemplar and draw a card. It's not the worst.
True. In for 4. Zach's going to fall down to 13, thanks to Heart of Karen.
This is a good-looking hand here for Caudillo as well. He's got a grasp.
Jessup will play a 3-man Inspector. A hub, get an energy, get a clue. Pass it back to Zach, who's going to go down to 12 and get himself a new card. Picked up another grasp. Okay.
Doing it.
All right. Draw yet again. Dread Wanderer. Come on, that thing couldn't enter the battlefield untapped. Come on.
Well, if you're going to let it block and come out of the graveyard, it's better to have it enter the battlefield tapped.
Come on.
Plus, there's a historical precedent of zombies entering the battlefield tapped. So there's a lot of good reasons.
Jessup will crack a clue.
Why don't they just make the cards more powerful? It's like there's a bunch of reasons to not do that.
Look, I don't ask for much. I ask for 2 things. That to be untapped and Armageddon to be reprinted. What's the big deal? At white.
Yeah.
White. Maybe 4 white.
Which, for example, Andrew could cast right now in his 3-color deck.
3-color deck, yes. Maybe it shouldn't be then. You make a compelling argument. Maybe it shouldn't be a thing. Trigger on the Exemplar. Crew. Attack. I think we got to kill that. Heart of Kieran is
now
dead.
If you want to have a criticism, I think it's fine to wonder about Crypt Breaker and Dread Wanderer kind of pulling you in opposite directions. One saying draw cards and one saying get your hand empty.
Yeah.
But I still think both designs are cool.
That's a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Yeah, a little offense, defense.
Yeah. Zach down to 11 and has found himself another card. So he's got the Crypt Breaker engine online. He's picked up a copy of Dark Salvation. He has another copy of Grasp in hand. Curious to see what land he wants to play because he does have a Shambling Vent over there.
If I'm in Zach's spot right here, all I care about is preserving life total. You have a couple of very powerful card advantage engines, and it's going to become harder and harder for Jessup to connect on the ground as you flood the battlefield with various zombies. So I'm willing to probably give some concessions to efficiency to make sure that Heart of Kirin doesn't hit me another time. If that means leaving up Grasp instead of tapping out for some plays, that's fine.
A little more conservative this turn.
I would like to conservative approach. You know, the Crypt Breakers are taxing your life total. You have to worry about unlicensed disintegration.
This is Dark Salvation. It's going to kill that.
Yeah, that card is so good. I mean, if you are playing with...
Look at this.
All right.
It's time to get in here.
Let's race. I mean, this is a good route to... I mean, if Jessup spends his turn playing something, and you get to kill the Heart of Kirin, great. If he dials up the Heart of Kirin off the Toolcraft Exemplar, great, because I believe he has Grasp up.
He does have Grasp up and in hand.
And one of the easiest way for Jessup to, you know, crew the Heart of Kirin here in an efficient way is by casting a Scrounger. If he casts a Scrounger and you kill the Toolcraft Exemplar, or excuse me, the Heart of Kirin, he can't block with the Scrounger on your next attack.
True.
So there's a lot of incentives here to get aggressive.
Time to flip the script.
Yeah.
See if we can get this game over with.
Also, he gets to pivot and start animating the Shambling Vent if he wants to, which is another good way to swing the game if it turns into a damage race.
Yeah. Well, there's Scrounger. Crew it up. Give him beatdowns.
I have to imagine we're going to see Grasp on Heart of Kirin in a
We
moment.
are. And now this will be a hit for 3, because it still triggers at the beginning. Checks to make sure you have an artifact. So Zac's going to fall down to 8. And he, of course, has the Scrap Heap Scrounger anyway. Zac will draw. He's found another copy of Concealed Courtyard to go along with the Scrounger. But he's going to keep right on attacking. So in for 5. Now he can leave up Shambling Vent if he wants, or he can play a copy of the Scrounger. I think that attack that turn was a little too aggressive for me.
I think that I would have cast the Scrounger, left back 1 Crypt Breaker
Yep.
with the intent of discarding the Concealed Courtyard in hand to the Crypt Breaker.
Yeah, that's the same line I wanted to see there.
Just more mana efficient. You get to convert the Concealed Courtyard, which is likely to be a dead card. You get some more blocking. Because I think you would happily trade a Crypt Breaker activation with the Scrounger at this point. Jessup's tied up on mana, so it's not trivial for him to get it back. It also means he doesn't have an artifact on the battlefield if you get to trade, which has implications for Toolcraft Exemplar, Unlicensed Disintegration, the Spire of Industry.
Yeah, the thing I'm most scared about right now, if I'm Zac, is I'm just stone cold dead to Unlicensed Disintegration.
Yes. Assuming that Jessup just attacks and...
Whereas if he has a Crypt Breaker back, he can chump block with it, he can make a zombie with it, so on and so forth.
Right.
There are some options there.
And also, I want to get the Scrounger on the table, too. I mean, if you're racing...
Here's Walking Ballista. That one's good. Well, now I think your hand is forced with the Shambling Vent.
Well, it's lethal on the table, so...
Yep. 3/6, yeah, +2 from the Ballista, so you gotta jump in front of something.
Although it's interesting, Caudillo's line last turn was so aggressive that I think Jessup had to assume Unlicensed Disintegration and attacking is no good. Because why else would he do that?
What he did?
Right.
Yeah. So Shambling Vent will trade with Toolcraft Exemplar. The Scrounger will hit for 3, total of 1. So Caudillo down to 7. Draw. I think it may have been a push. How he wants to use this push will be a little bit interesting. Same thing can be said about all these Crypt Breakers. He can, of course, activate them to make zombies. He's just going to start, however, with the Dread Wanderer. The zombie Jackal. Going to come in for 2. Jessup's going to fall down to 8. Just going to pass the turn back yet again. Jessup will draw. He's got Gideon in hand. Didn't cast it last turn. Elected for a walking ballista. Perhaps we see him cast the powerful mythic this turn. Here comes Scrap Heap Scrounger. We're going to see an activation here of Crypt Breaker. He'll discard Concealed Courtyard. And I'll pay a life to draw a card. Picked up the Zombie Lord.
I think I would have preferred him to play the Concealed Courtyard and discard the Scrounger.
Yeah. Because I still think he has some...
He doesn't have another creature in his graveyard, excuse me. Never mind.
Okay, makes some sense.
I just assumed he did, but yeah, it's just lands and spells.
Makes some sense. Looks like Jessup's going to use some energy. I think this is going to be a Licensed Disintegration, yeah, which is... It's funny because he's had this for a couple of turns, and had he gone for the W previously, it would have been good.
But again, I think Caudillo's line, I think, was so aggressive that it's hard to believe that you would have been good there.
I totally agree. Ooh, Fatal Push before damage. That looks a little strange.
Well, now Caudillo needs to gain life or kill the Ballista now.
Well, he can present lethal. He can play the Zombie Lord.
That he just picked up?
Yeah.
And that probably forces a... well, no, it's still not lethal. No, I guess he can't just take the whole hit.
He plays the Zombie Lord. Jessup can respond by killing 1 or 2 Crypt Breakers.
Right, but Caudillo's fine if that happens. I mean, great. Just get this Ballista off the battlefield, please.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing he wants to have happen. He just wants to get this thing off the battlefield.
I guess alternatively, if he can play...
I'm not in love with this.
The Servant and another zombie. Oh, I think he's thinking here that what he'll do is he'll just discard to the Crypt Breaker and get a point of life.
Yeah, whenever another zombie enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent loses a life and you gain a life. So that's in play.
Right, so he goes to 4. Now the Ballista's not lethal.
But if he's going to do that, I think he's got to do that right away.
Well, you could do it in response to the walking Ballista of Jessup trying to dump mana into the Ballista.
Sure, if he decides that's going to be his whole turn.
I agree with you. I would still have done it straight away because there's so little incentive to wait. You're going to be doing it regardless. And now you're in a spot where if Jessup just goes past, you can't do it, which might matter for combat next turn. Yeah, I would have done it straight away. Yeah, there's no reason to respond because if Jessup says go, it's now what?
It's a little riskier than I'd like.
You just can't make your zombie, and you gotta.
Also, this way he's still in trouble around the Licensed Disintegration.
Well, that he can't stop.
Well, if he, it depends on what. It depends on a couple of different things. He's gonna shoot this. Now we're going to have him, yeah, he's going to discard Scrounger, make a zombie go up to 4. Jessup's going to fall down to 5, but then Licensed Disintegration will kill that and they'll kill him. So Andrew Jessup's going to win game number 2 here over Zac Caudillo. Marty Vehicles and Black White Zombies are going to go to a 3rd game here. Game got a little bit complicated. Not sure if Zac had the tools to win or not. I would have gotten a little more aggressive with that Lord that turn, though, I think.
I think I think the turn where he did not leave a Crypt Breaker back and didn't activate it was huge. And that game was right on the margins there. I mean, any extra chump blocker, any extra attack he gets to make, that could have easily determined the outcome of the game. I generally like the fact that he pivoted and started getting aggressive around the time that he did. I think a lot of people would just sat back on the Crypt Breakers, but given his life total, I liked turning the game around and trying to get aggressive. But there was one attack there where I think he would have been better served just leaving a Crypt Breaker back to potentially chump block and definitely to activate. And I don't know if it would have made a difference there, but that game was tight enough that I think every little bit would have counted.
Zac's going to play this time for game number 3. He's just kind of shuffling up while Jessup is taking a look at his deck again. So I'm going to look at Jessup's sideboard. We've already gone over it once, but here he's an Oaths and release the Gremlin, Sorin, and Transgressor, all 2 elves, along with Anguish Unmaking, Cut Ribbons, Fumigate, Magma Spray, and Painful Truce. Magma Spray is a pretty obvious one.
Best card of the sideboard, most likely. I think the Fumigate is great here because Jessup can win. I think there's a good chance that Fumigate's just a haymaker if it shows up. I would bring in the Cut to Ribbons and the Anguish I'm making, even if they aren't great, because I think all the removal spells matter.
Well, game number 3 going to be underway here. You see the clock. About 24 minutes left to go here between Mardu Vehicles and Black White Zombies. They will sideboard and shuffle. Almost ready here for game 3. Let's talk about Fleecekeeper. Member of the StarCityGames.com Creature Collection. It's available now in playmat sleeves and player bundles. And on Monday, May 1st, not only will we have a new weekly sale for you, but we'll have, of course, Imperious Perfect for you in playmat sleeves and player bundles. So make sure to head over to go.starcitygames.com/Creature Collection so you can check out all of our members of the Creature Collection family, including this play on Peacekeeper. It is, of course, Fleecekeeper.
Peacekeeper, an odd development there. Heinous design, of course, but odd development where it's... So the point of Peacekeeper is a percentage of your opponents literally can't beat this card. That's the design.
Okay.
If your opponent can't kill a creature and they're trying to win through combat, they can't win.
I think the design is just to keep the peace.
Sure, that's good flavor.
Yeah,
the flavor's good.
Keep the peace.
Flavor's good.
Okay.
So having an upkeep cost on a card that, like, your opponent can't beat,
A little strange.
a little strange.
A little strange.
I guess that was a time where both Armageddon and Winter Orb were heavily featured in decks that couldn't kill creatures. So
Yes.
that was like, that's the trick, right?
That was a thing.
You can get out of Peacekeeper by blowing up every land.
That's your out.
That's your out.
You have to kaboom all the lands. Not a great feeling.
Yeah.
How do you win? Draw Armageddon.
I just get in and then the Peacekeeper, you know.
And I'm the biggest Armageddon fan you're gonna find.
Yeah.
So here we go. Concealed Courtyard, a Dread Wanderer. Shambling Vet here for Andrew Jessup. Zac with a Fatal Push, in for 2.
Like, having an upkeep cost on Platinum Angel would be weird, right? If it was like pay 2 mana a turn, like, that's weird.
It'd be a little strange.
My opponent can't, you know, whatever.
Here's Heart of Kiran. Dread Wanderer will untap. And Diregraph Colossus to draw. Now this was my little bit of a concern. As here comes Zac for 2, is that his deck only has 20 lands in the main.
It's what makes me nervous here. His deck is 20 lands and a lot of 3s.
So he's going to dome him and then select a card. I don't know if Collective Brutality is going to find a hit here or not. You see Gideon, Scrap Heap Scrounger, and a bunch of lands here for Mr. Jessup.
No hits. Not a great hand. A lot of this game, I think, is going to come down to whether or not Caudillo is able to draw that 3rd land and get enough of a battlefield presence where he'll be able to fight the Gideon down. Otherwise, this game could be over pretty quickly.
Scrap Heap Scrounger to the draw here. Scrap Heap Scrounger to the play. Crew in.
I also think I would have preferred not to just not cast the Collective Brutality. I would want to be able to make sure that I killed something with it. And with Fatal Push in hand, there's a good chance your mana isn't even burned off for the turn because good chance Jessup cooperates and lets you kill the Heart of Kiran.
Yeah. Here's an attack for 2.
If it was a Scrounger, you could have just killed the Scrounger instead, even if he doesn't animate the Heart of Kiran.
Third land has been found. I think you still just want to keep getting on the battlefield. There's Diregraph Colossus. It's going to be a 3/3. Pass the turn back.
That was a really critical 3rd land. You can feel
super important.
This being Caudillo's battlefield rather than just the 2/1 right before Gideon feels like that's a huge difference in the way this game is shaping up.
Heading back Andrew Jessup's way. Could just play Gideon this turn. It could be a heck of a Gideon turn. It could be a make a 2/2. And of course, turn on Heart of Kiran and get in with my Scrap Heap Scrounger. That all could happen this turn.
Well, the concern I have about the reduce the loyalty is now Gideon is down to 3 loyalty, which means the Diregraph Colossus is lethal to Gideon on its own and may constrain the way that you have to block. I think my preference here would be to make a knight and use the Scrounger to turn on the Heart of Kirin. So you look at the life totals, I mean, I think Jessup does want to play a little bit of defense here. Okay.
I'm going to disagree.
All right.
I'm a fan of this just because I can turn on Heart and Kirin on defense too.
And we'll see. It's not unreasonable for Caudillo to be able to piece together 2 pieces of removal here.
That's true.
And then you're down your Gideon.
Yep. Here's the Lord.
Yeah, I think this is really bad news now for Jessup.
And a push is going to kill the token. Let's see where the attackers are going to go here, because now Heart of Kirin is still out there.
Yeah, so this is I think this is a trip up here for Caudillo. I think he needed to just play the Lord and then get rid of the Heart of Kirin before blocks.
Because Jessup's he's going to lose his Gideon anyway.
He just gets to swallow up a 3-2 for free.
Yeah, he gets to just eat something. And now Zac still has to contend with the Heart of Kirin.
Right, I think he really needed to save the fatal push there for the Heart of Kirin and not get out of the token. Because both of his attackers were lethal to the Gideon.
Yep.
So what has to happen there is Jessup's just going to dial up the Heart of Kirin. You get rid of that. If he wants to trade the token for the 3-2, okay.
It's fine, you get the 3-2 back later anyway.
Right, yeah, it's not that bad. So I think Caudillo had everything lined up the right way, with the exception of using that fatal push there before moving into combat.
Another Scrap Heap Scrounger. There's a hub. And now there's Unlicensed Disintegration. So Zac's going to fall down to 8. I think he's going to fall down to 1 now. And now this game has taken a turn in a pretty bad way. Relentless dead the draw. So he'll play that and he gets to make another 2-2 zombie.
Although if he has grasp, if he can answer the Heart of Kirin,
Still playing.
he's still playing.
Doesn't appear as though Jessup has much going on in his hand, so here's an attack. It's an attack for 3.
Although now I guess he can't. It's hard for him to animate the vent. Yeah, I guess animating the vent's the same thing because he needs to crew the
heart.
Right.
Yep. Just depends on what he draws. Crew there. Come in here. Get to block this. Kill that. Unlicensed Disintegration was the draw step, and that's going to take care of things here for Andrew Jessup, who's going to win this match here over Zac Caudillo. 2-1. Mardu Vehicles will take care of the innovative Black-White Zombies deck, and for Andrew Jessup, it's another top 8 on his ever-growing resume here on the SCG Tour.
And if he's at 11-0-1 playing against an X2, that means that he mashed a lot of people with 1 loss all around the way. So great run through the Swiss here. Congratulations to Andrew Jessup now in the top 8. I think, to be honest, both the games that Caudillo lost were in the margins. They didn't look that close at the end of it, maybe. But the games were so tight and so much was defined in the first 3 or 4 turns of those games that